I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Latest check of the surface analysis doesn't show much change from earlier in the day. We've got a cool front that's moving across Manitoba, sneaking into northwestern parts of North Dakota. Ahead of this front, we've got some very strong southwesterly winds originating back in the Central Plains and going right up across the upper Mississippi River Valley, upper Midwest. I think these south winds are going to continue to pump some pretty decent warm airflow up into the upper Midwest, and it will interact with this cool front as it comes across eastern North Dakota, eastern South Dakota, and settles into Minnesota and Iowa at midweek. I'm specifically going to keep the door open to some scattered showers and thunderstorms in those two states at least as we go through the Wednesday and Wednesday night time frame. The thing is, the front really starts to lose its moisture source and its oomph factor, if you will, as it moves off to the south and east, so that I don't think we have much moisture moving farther east and south. I like rains up to 1 inch over about 70% of Minnesota. You get into Iowa, we'll drop that off to about 30%. Wisconsin, yeah, maybe some things hold on, tail off into western parts of Wisconsin, but 20% of the state, probably that's it. The rest of the Corn Belt, I think, is dry through at least the next 10 days, and if you go back to when the last rains fell in the Corn Belt, we might actually be able to stretch the eastern Corn Belt to 14 days in between rain events. The next thing I see coming up, and this is still supported on the midday models, would be around the 2nd, October 2nd. So we'll have to watch that. There is another system that comes in early in October, maybe around the 5th. I actually think that time period, anywhere from the 2nd, 3rd, all the way through the 5th and 6th, we could see either two systems come through or one just decent system. One thing's for sure, after the strong front finally does exit in that time frame, I do see another cooler air push coming in, but then again, that's typical this time of year. We mentioned in our online write-up this morning a couple of models trying to show a tropical system coming up across the Gulf Coast late in the period. Maybe as we go through the 5th and 6th, that's still there. I don't want to get too excited about anything tropical until we see better model agreement, though. Right now, one model saying it and nobody else, just basically kind of throws it out there. It's something to watch because it would impact maybe some potential harvest over the eastern Corn Belt if we had a good, strong hit coming up from the south. Maybe some moisture could hold together, so we'll have to watch that. As we take a look at international weather right now, the South American weather scenario looks kind of interesting. I know we're waiting for some rains in places like Mato Grosso and other big early soybean producing areas. We're waiting on some moisture there so we can get started with planting. It may be on the way. Heavy rains early on here are only going to hold over extreme southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, and actually down into Uruguay. But it's going to be heavy rain, maybe 1 to 4 inches. Then the front that causes this rain will slowly stair-step north. I think those rains move into Paraná this weekend. Still could see up to 2 inches, call it half to 2 inches. Coverage about 80%. Then we'll take that front farther north again early next week. However, it's going to start to do what the front that we already talked about here in the United States is going to do, which is kind of stall out, fizzle out as it reaches some of those key bean areas. So as the front moves into Mato Grosso and Mato Grosso do Sul Monday, Tuesday of next week, I still think it can put down half to maybe 1 inch, 3/4 in spots. Coverage only about 50% because it is falling apart, but it would be some rain in at least parts of South America, and that might be enough for them to start rolling the planters. We also see a huge system in Paraguay, not so much in northern Argentina, but Paraguay, midweek next week, Wednesday night into Thursday. If that holds together, you know what? I'd say you could also look for a good slug of rain to move north through Mato Grosso do Sul and into Mato Grosso, maybe toward the end of next week. So that'll be something to watch as well. Wheat weather doesn't show anything all that exciting. We've got scattered showers and thunderstorms that may try and work through at midweek in hard red winter wheat areas. Got some limited moisture that pops up from time to time in hard red spring. But generally speaking, as we try and move into planting of hard red winter wheat, we've got some moisture that's been moving through spots. Other areas are still dry. It's kind of a hit-and-miss deal. I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to be seeing a lot more dry air than wet weather, though. And so if you are dry, you're going to have to keep your fingers crossed to get some moisture in to some of those driest areas. That's the way things are stacking up here at midday today. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.